Okay, 11 o'clock on the 14th, and we might be getting to the very decisive part of the day, I think, here. So let's start over in the north and see what's going on. There's a few reinforcements have arrived. The French have some of their final reserves coming on, which is Dalmas's division. And we can see, step back, what's been happening here. Now, last time I left you, just indicate something there. Last time I left you is these guys were attacking as quickly as they can, and it hasn't gone very well. I mean, it's only this very last turn the Prussians have had a bit of success here, but you can see by all these units here that this push into Nocturne just didn't go very well. They have eliminated quite a lot of the French guns, so long term it's looking good, but in the short term it hasn't. But we do have just had a little bit of progress here, just clearing a few hexes around here. And you can see the guys pushed back here because it's turn 11, so these are marked with turn 11. But there's still quite a few people back here. Artillery here, firing each other, not particularly effective. The Russians that came on here have rushed forward as quickly as possible. We had a few squares, actually had a square broken here. This square's managed to stand. This unit here, who are those guys? Let's have a look, get that in focus. Some hussars there, and what's underneath it? Some more hussars. Oh, some heavy cavalry underneath that. Okay, they've had a lot of success here, causing lots of problems, which has given these a few problems. However, the numbers are beginning to show. I did make an error as I brought on this unit here a turn early, so they were doing this flanking movement with the Cossacks over here, but I won't move them next turn because they've got a little bit ahead of themselves. They'll kind of cut these guys off here, but they should really be around here. So how it's going here? Well, up until that little bit of success with the Prussians, I thought it was going very much in the French way. I don't think the French have got enough really to make any progress, but they've definitely got enough to hold it up. So that is still pretty much in the balance and could go either way, which has then an impact on the Young Guard here, which are on their way to support them, but that's changed. I'll come and tell you about that in a moment. Round here, the Austrians have pushed up their guns, but in doing so took a lot of casualties and having real trouble doing anything with these fortified positions here. There's only one gun here, but it's been doing an excellent job, and these guys have reduced with the wall and the range. It's very, very difficult to get through there. So they might pull back. I mean, it's only really the whole purpose of this for the Allies is so these units don't go off and help anywhere else. They want to hold them there, which they are doing. There's the garrison in Leipzig, which I'm going to hold there in case there's a breakthrough anywhere else, really. Now, along the line here of the river, because it's quite a confused battle, there's quite a confused melee going on here, so I'll try and explain it the best I can and show you where I think the Allies are getting a bit of advantage here. Okay, so the reserve brigade paused for a while, but then the Canada made a lot of success against the French, particularly against some of the Young Guard units that are holding their cause. So they pushed forward and they sort of just got up to, I think this is going to move on to 6 in a moment. So their fatigue's high, but we've pushed on, and you can see they've got a few guns across here. No, they can't actually see anything yet. So as far as I could get them, we're beginning to get some. We've got these guns isolated with infantry there. The guns have routed a few units, disorganised a few units. Got some cavalry across, looking good. I mean, a lot of the defenders there are in a bad way. Some have come back. So we've had to commit Second Corps cavalry that's coming across here to try and relieve the pressure there, which leads us back up to these Young Guard over here. Now, these were given orders to march over here, but last turn Napoleon, who's still sort of in the centre, has changed their orders. They've received them this turn, they start working on them next turn, is to come and support this area here, clear this. You'll see there's some difficulty down here as well for the French. However, we're looking at this area first, so they're going to come, hopefully push them back. I think these will have difficulty against that big Young Guard there. We can get into position. Moving along. Okay, some great progress being made here again by the Guard units. they're really good. Some of these Prussian and Russian Guard units are very, very powerful, although the casualties have increased quite a lot. I've got a few units down here that are pretty well spent. You'll notice if I hold it down, I've stopped using counters underneath because they were getting a little bit too unwieldy, the stacks. So I'm now marking casualties with these markers underneath. If I can find an example, I think it, you know, like these guys have 2 casualties each, which is a way Didier recommends, one of the ways it's recommended in the rule book. Like I say, I don't normally bother with it, but with all these units, I can't keep in my head what's what. So anyway, the cavalry have pushed forward and made some good success, cleared this end of the line. You can see they've pushed them back, and that's been a case of cavalry charges followed up by guns. There is a little bit of infantry around, but there's not a lot. A lot of the infantry was very much bloodied coming across this area here. So they are a bit short on infantry. There's no way they can get these guys out of here at the moment, but you can see we've got these guys, that's Victor's Corps, they are pretty well spent. I mean, they are a speed bump, if nothing else. They're actually very close to their demoralised level. There's a big commitment here, because we could commit the whole line, but I think the idea, Napoleon's at the moment, is commit here, try and blunt this, push these back, and then try and establish a line across here. The Prussians have been pushing forward as well, and they've got their cannon up here, which has been helpful in weakening these units as well, especially when they're forced into square. That's been a very successful strategy. These have got the infantry here, still got a bit of a damage from when their previous initial push. They wanted to make enough space to bring the guns up, but that's sort of going okay. That's holding there. I mean, there's some very good units here, but it's beginning to look very thin. So the old guard will be coming across here, not for a counter-attack, just to hold this area and counter-attack as and when it's necessary, but stabilise this area first. Napoleon's idea. The guns, which have come a long way round, are finally getting into position, which is fantastic, which is making all the difference here, the lack of infantry. The Russians haven't done anything yet, because they're still a bit worried about this area here, although this is stabilised hugely now. I mean, there has been, you can see the French have brought up their guns here. There's not a lot of infantry around here to chase those guns off. So they are pounding these huge squares quite a lot, but they seem to be holding at the moment. Because what they're hanging on for are the Austrians that are coming up and making quite a big impact here. So the Guard Cavalry have tried their best. You know, they've done absolutely they can. They were relying on 9th Corps infantry to come across from holding, when they hold here and beat these Austrians, to come across here and break these. However, the Austrians, 2nd Austrian Corps, arrived just in time, and they have been, you know, 2nd Corps, they've been great. They've put a line here. They've pretty much stopped this French advance across here. So now the cavalry are quite isolated. These are gathering their forces. Strong gun line coming up here. These guns are probably pushed forward. And I think once that's stabilised, then they might relieve the Russians here to maybe push on. So that's where we're up to. Like I say, I think this breakout probably here is the most dangerous one. This is dangerous, but I think these will help there. But here, this is quite dangerous. I mean, these are close to collapse. I mean, 6th Corps, very powerful corps, but they've taken quite a beating. You can see a lot of the units back here. And although the Allies have taken a lot of casualties, there's some big units. Some of those Prussian and Russian infantry units are quite large. So there we go. I do a little scan round the board. I feel the next hour or two is going to be make or break down the northern end of the field, because if the Allies can achieve what historically they couldn't achieve, which is a break across the river here, I think it's going to be very difficult for Napoleon. Although these have taken quite a few casualties, so it's not all over. It's not all over at all. Nothing happening here, and you know, something could develop on the southern end, although at the moment that looks like it's going to, well, it's going to rage for a few more hours at least. Okay, there we go. Next video I post will be around midday.